Bill Meuth is a member of the St. Louis Woodworkers Guild. He regularly makes toys for our community outreach program, which distributes them to hospitals and local charities. He is also legally blind.
Hi, my name is Bill Meuth. I'm 71, and this is my workshop. We've been living in this house since 1983, and I guess I built the shop in the mid-90s probably. This is my Delta thickness planer. I use it rather infrequently. This is my router table. I built the cabinet and the top myself. I've got a Rockler router lift, one of the earlier versions in here. I guess I've had it since about 2017, so you can tell there. That made things tremendously easier for me because matching it up, matching heights and stuff like that was very difficult when you had to take the router out and put it back in and play it and play it and play it. I'll mention my dust collection system here. Many years ago I bought a jet dust collector, and for a long while I was just using the hose method, going from one to another, and then finally when I retired and had time, I put in all the piping, and that's helped tremendously. The next thing we've got is a Delta contractor saw. I added a lot of dust collection stuff to it, like it was open underneath, and so I put plastic panels on it, and then all around the perimeter of the top I got some of that magic foam, I guess it's called. You use it for around windows or seals in construction, and so underneath that I close that all in, and so now the dust collection works really well. Here we've got a multi-tool table. I've got 2 sanders and my bandsaw. My bandsaw is where I do all the cutouts and a lot of pieces for making trucks and stuff like that, like the fenders and the hood and the cab and that. Those all need some bandsaw work. I've got 2 drill presses, mostly because the first one was it doesn't have a crank height adjustment. Because of the crank height, I've gotten a lot better at depth and stuff like that for making my things. I usually make jigs that fit on the table, so that when I'm cutting out, like here, this is for the fenders of a toy truck, and so the first thing I do is I cut out the underside of the fender with a circle saw, and that sits on there. Fit it down, lock it down, and then I'll make 150, 200 of them at a time. In 2013, I lost a good portion of my sight, so that what I see is cloudy. Everything is cloudy. My central vision is a little worse than my peripheral. So the things that I do in the workshop, I quite often am not actually looking at what I'm doing. I'm looking sideways at it so that I can see what I'm doing. I joined the Woodworkers Guild in 2017, I guess. After I ran out of stuff to do in the shop, rebuilding it, and I needed something to do. Most of the things I do in this shop are making toys or other projects that the guild comes up with. With my vision, measuring things is the big problem. And so I discovered that I use basically story stick type technology for everything. So like these are 2 1/4-inch thick masonite, and it's really a 1/4-inch thick. So if I put that in there, that's now a 1/2-inch cut. You know, most things I do, I don't really need an accurate cut, but like I make these guys. I make these little Adirondack chairs, and it's kind of nice if all the wood is exactly the same thickness. And so when I'm doing other projects, if I have some excess, it ends up being cut off a 1/2-inch thick. This is my Craftsman radial arm saw. I know a lot of people think radial arm saws are dangerous, and I agree with them, except in my situation. Okay, for me, I need to know, because I can't actually see it all the time, I need to know exactly where the blade's going, and so that's an advantage for me. You know, if, this is how I measure everything. So once I've got a plan and I've got everything fit together, I call them story sticks. And so like this is for the stake body truck, which I had over there. And so the way I measure is push it in there, pull the blade out, jam it up against there, and then set the measurement. So once I've got that, every cut I make for those, I usually make 10 things at a time. Those are going to all be exactly the same. This is my Adirondack chair that I made. I made like 100 of these last year for Toys for Tots. And these are the storyboard sticks that I use to cut the lengths for all the pieces. But otherwise, that's it, you know. And so I'll cut up 40 of these and 20 of those and 10 of these and whatever, and make 10 chairs. Okay, so this shows basically how I can see this. Again, I'm using my peripheral vision to match up the white line of the blade with the black line of the cutout. And I don't necessarily always see that, but for some reason or other, I can follow it. I make 100, 150 toys a month, sometimes up to 300, depends upon time of the year. If it's Christmas things and stuff like that, which is mostly cutouts, you know, I've turned in over 300 toys in a month for those kind of things. This is where it happens.
Bill Meuth is a longtime woodworker, but only been a member of the Guild for the last few years. Ever since he joined, he has been one of the key prime members that have donated the most toys as part of our community outreach program, where toys go to children and hospitals and to many of our local charities.
I've been working with Bill Meuth ever since he joined the Woodworkers Guild several years ago. It's been interesting to see how he's got his shop set up and how he goes about cutting pieces without harming himself. And, you know, practice makes perfect. That's one of the things we teach at the Woodworkers Guild. And over the years, quality of the toys he builds has just continued to improve. And you'd never guess that it was coming from somebody with limited sight. He's kind of an inspiration to us all.